way cooler than mine. I got like this green screen here, and I got like this purple, like this weird purple. I'm in this purple room, so I should probably do some weird Purple Rain like album thing. I don't know if I could pull Prince off. I don't know if I have
Where is the purple?
It's literally the wall.
Oh, behind the green.
Yeah.
It's all green.
Yeah, it's all green. No. It's green here because I have a green screen for reasons I can't talk about on the air. Not yet, anyway. But I am with the one and only Nikki Nash, ladies and gentlemen. So how you doing, Nikki?
I've been good. How about you?
My usual. I'm about to become a pirate.
A pirate? Please explain to me why.
Well, we've come into a point in history where this is we're going to talk about the bad. I'm not going to talk about the big ball bad news, but we've come into a dishonest time. Let's be very, very honest about that.
Let's be honest about being dishonest.
Well, you know what? If someone tells you they pardon me. Oh, pepper comes up. Anyways, something tells me that they never lie. They're lying. I'm honest enough to admit to people that I will lie. Now, here's the thing. Because it's such a foreign thing for me to do, it's not something I do very often, but I tell stories. I'm a giant exaggerator at the best of times, right? So since I'm a giant exaggerator, I mean, I know how to bullshit with the rest of them. With you or with anybody, like when I talk to them, I would just rather be myself. It's less work. I'm lazy. Like I want to be like perfectly. I'm lazy. I don't like remembering shit that doesn't matter. Most of the time when you lie, it doesn't fucking matter. Like it really doesn't fucking matter at all. Most of the time you're afraid of something. Ironically, because you lie, now you gotta live with that stupid fear. I'm too old for that shit. You know what I really want to do? See. What? I want to see if I can break my record to how many times I made you laugh last time.
I was waiting for that.
Yeah. But I see how many times I can do that. See, that's more fun to me. But the thing is, if I'm always thinking of some outrageous lie crap, that's brain power. I have to remember how I lied to you, right? That is work. I don't want to do that. If I want to make something up, I write. I bullshit. I literally sent you a story to read about Alice playing croquet with Jason of the Argonauts. I did all kinds of shit up there. I let it all out. But because it's a story I'm just telling, I don't have to remember that either. It's out. It's like done. Mine is a clean blank slate. Like done. I don't have to remember any of that shit. But if you lie, you gotta remember every fucking thing you said. And that thing you're trying to escape from, well, now you're stuck with it too, because it's right there saying, hey, we're buddies. It's like, hi. You want to get drunk? And sometimes you say,
go ahead.
So then it's like you want to get drunk, and sometimes you're like, yes. And then tomorrow, then it's almost like your whatever you're running from is like a cockroach. You just, no matter what you do to it, until you actually face the damn thing and find the garbage like home for it somewhere else, you got to deal with it, right? So why lie? It's too much work.
It's way too much work. Because then, you always have the truth in the back of your mind, and you remember exactly what details you used for your lie, and you're like, did I use this detail this time, or this detail this time, or what did I say again exactly? And then people start to call you out on it, and you're like, I don't want to do this anymore.
It's too hard. Like I said, it's way too fucking hard, right? But so we're going when I said about a dishonest time, and my hair is all spiky, like whatever. It's like, hey, I'm happy. I'm 40.
How did it just go back down? Remember, I have a rooster head like that. I'll flick it down, and it will just go every time.
Well, not all of it. It goes I have 2 cowlicks here. I have a cowlick here. My hair gets all over the place, and that's cool. Hey, 40 years old, hair goes all over the place. That's a victory in of itself. It's like, yes, right. Hey, the other big, it's like, yeah, some things I still feel like I'm 20, and that's great. But here's the thing, right? We're living in a dishonest time. So you can't be honest with people who are dishonest with you. You just can't. There is a survival mechanism that comes with it. So so the more your restrictions that happen, the more it's almost like a Chinese finger puzzle. the tighter the restrictions, the looser, like the less resistance you'll have to them, and things will just slip through the cracks more and more and more. The tighter the fist, the more everything falls. So it's dishonest, and any government that does that at the best of times is unethical. And since they don't have any ethics, you can't have any ethics dealing with them. That sounds like it's a horrible truth, but it is the way it is. Like, that is the world we are going into, at least for the short term, until people have enough of this shit, you know?
I think it's also all about perspective, though, too. Because right now we have a government that's trying, and like, I don't speak for politics. To be honest, I've stopped following a lot of it, so my information can be really outdated. But from my understanding, everything that they've done is because they just don't know how to handle it, and they're trying to avoid polio 2.0. So the best thing that they're doing is they're putting out all these restrictions, so then we all stay apart and then slow down the spread and do all of the things so we don't end up like polio. And
yeah, I get why people. Sorry, finish.
Sorry, I was just like, I get why people like are a little bit mistrusting of that, because to be honest, it's hard to trust the choices that are being made when no one knows what the actual information is, because everything is so new. But I think everyone's just trying to throw things and figure out what happens, what will stick, and what will slow everything down and keep everyone safe.
So let's go to your point, and then I'll show you kind of like just how someone like me thinks, because I'm crazy. I'm openly crazy, and then we'll move on to something happier.
I am too. Don't get me wrong.
No. I actually don't know if you're nicer than I am or meaner than I am. I think there's a very tough person inside there. So I can't actually say for sure. But here's okay. So in fairness, hammer, nail. All the government can do. Government's the hammer, and the laws are the nails. Nail, hammer, hammer. Okay. So on one hand, that's absolutely a quote unquote natural part of things. I think as a general rule of thumb, Canadians in particular like order. More so than freedom, they prefer order. They want just the idea that something can be done. And on the surface, for sure, I can definitely see that. Where a guy like me has a kind of like the thing is that there are certain things that I look at and think about and go, but that doesn't make sense. Like, for example, I was an essential worker. So during this whole time, I couldn't go see my friends. But when I was working, I'm literally 5 feet away. Like, I'm not, you can't social distance with some of these jobs. Then you go to a restaurant. Okay, when you're ordering, I got my mask on. This feels really good. And then when you sit down, oh, look, my mask is off. Virus doesn't, it's, so what tends to happen is this is just how it is. If the virus is so serious, why are people working? There's a lot of things that don't need to be done. Even now, that just really don't really need to be done. And so there's that. So I live in the Orwell world where my life exists just to work for somebody and then go home. There's a point that wears thin. And that's all, like, and that's something that, so when you look at behavior of somebody or a person, it doesn't matter, a person, a business, anything. When words and actions do not match, now sometimes it's like, okay, like the restaurant thing, that's for lack of a better term, just one of those weird, there's no good way to do this. There really isn't. But some of it is a direct contradiction. And when you look at words and you look at actions and they don't match, usually what that means is some level, the ethics aren't where they should be. That's usually what that means. Not always the case, but at the same time, and this is the part of me that my dad's an American. He grew up in Detroit in the 60s, and tanks were driving into his neighborhood, right? Back in the day when the civil rights movement was happening there. So there's that part of me that kind of goes, some things are just universal. Now, I am crazy. It's possible I'm a little paranoid, and I certainly don't trust my government. I'm not gonna argue all those points. I am crazy, but when you look at words and you look at actions, and this is the measure of integrity for everybody. if your words and actions match, even if the results are disastrous, sometimes can be totally disastrous. And then that's the last thing too. The results can totally be a disaster, but on some level there has to be an accountability. Like Nikki, I wouldn't do this because I think you would totally return me to professional. Let's say I took one of your guitars, right, and I accidentally wrecked it. Right, I did something really stupid to it. Like, yeah. See, look at her face. She's gonna like there'd be a chokehold. There'd be a chokehold. Possibly, they might find my body in Taiwan in various little pieces. I'm not saying she'd kill me. Maybe I don't know. But
there's so many jokes that I don't know if I can do it on air.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want. I don't give a shit. But here's the point, right? At some level, there's I would have to go to you. Now I might be doing it over the phone, like over a conversation. Hi, Nikki. By the way, I wrecked your guitar, and I'm in another province right now, so you don't come find me and kill me. But at some point, I have to be accountable for the mistakes I make, and there hasn't been accountability really. And that's the part so when you don't have accountability, when you don't have transparency, when you don't have ethics are questionable, like honestly, fully questionable. And once you start asking those questions and then you start looking deeper, then you kind of go, okay, what's going on? And not even there's this Greek giant conspiracy. It's like, why aren't you being accountable for this and this? And you just seem to be doing other things. And that's something that that's how I think. That's just how I see it. If you, let's say you did something to me, let's say I love comic books. Let's say you kidnapped my entire Ninja Turtles comic collection and you just sold it on a drunken stupor somewhere, and you're now like Tahiti. You're like, Josh, I done fucked up, right? and right, maybe I don't know. I somehow. Well, I do see sometimes you letting cutting loose once in the blue moon. I don't see being that irresponsible, but the general idea is I don't. I could be wrong. Who knows? But
I mean, maybe when I was a kid, but
yeah, once upon a time I'd have done it.
Once upon a time, if you were my brother, once upon a time.
Okay, I gotta talk to your brother at some point. Here's some Nikki's. Are you the older? Are you the oldest or the youngest?
Oh yeah, I'm the older one.
Oh God. Okay, so
if you want to go a little off track, my favorite thing I used to do, and not take comic books and run off to Tahiti, but if he was ever looking for something that was his, I would hide it in his own room. So then I didn't take it. It was just really lost.
My sister still torments me on my Facebook feed to this very day. She's a younger sister, but it's like she has this thing that's like, take this and this, like looking which one is actually the more full. So I keep it and I give you the actually slightly emptier one. It's just one of those like brother sister things. Yeah. So yeah, no, it's totally like one of those, like that's totally a normal thing. But like I said, at the end of the day, like as an adult, we're all responsible for our own actions. We all make choices, good, bad, or indifferent, and it's okay. We fuck up. I'm a fuck up. I totally acknowledge that, right? It's just one of those.
I agree with that.
What?
I wouldn't describe you as a fuck up at all.
No. But I have done some. I've done some epically dumb things in my life, and I will probably do epically dumb more. I mean, that is just. I mean, it's a part of the thing. It's not that I do these things that makes me a good or a bad. What makes me a good or a bad person is how I deal with the consequences of my action. That's just being an adult, right? So when I look at my any organization I work for, if there's no accountability for it, I just won't trust it. And that might be a really simple way of looking at things, but that is my way of looking at things.
I think it's a hard balance though, because there's always going to be accountability for something, right? And there's always going to be indirect accountability for things. And right now, if they were to shut down completely everything, and because like the restaurant thing I understand, and I think the logic behind that is because there's like that whole 6 feet thing when you're at your table, you're within your table and kind of stuff. And when you're walking through, you're past other people, which is why you're supposed to wear the mask, because then you're crossing zones. But when you're when you're talking about accountability and they just shut everything down, you're now going to be accountable for a loss of economy, right? Which is something that they had to weigh into effect, right? Like that lockdown we had in, what was it, 2020? I don't even know anymore. When did this start? When does it end? I don't know. But exactly.
Yeah.
But that had such an impact on the economy. And then you start adding CERB in there, and then you start adding all these other things. Like, they can't afford to shut. Now they're just trying to figure out how to keep everyone safe, but keep the economy going without completely being accountable for the complete downfall. You know what I mean?
But see, and this is where, I'm old fashioned, and this is kind of how I look at things. You're a grown ass woman. I'm a grown ass man. Life is risk. It just is. I can get up tomorrow and spontaneously combust. It is a possibility. I can get up tomorrow and fall out of my bed and not get up, right? I could tomorrow wake up, walk down the street, and get struck by lightning. I'd be a really unlucky bastard if all three of these things happened to me, by the way.
Would be.
Yeah, I'd be a really unlucky bastard. But so, like, I look at what the Scandinavian countries have decided to do and what Singapore has decided to do. They just basically, it's endemic. We're going to live with it going forward. We're not going to worry about. People are going to make their choices. We're going to respect their choices, and there's, based on science, based on everything else, and ultimately that's where we got to get back to. Like, if we really want to get back to normal, then we got to actually go towards the normal, not restrict everything down on, because people are getting tired too, right? It's just like, we've been doing this for so long, and it's still here, it's still going, it's still working. There comes a point, there's just a diminishing return aspect of it too. Like, I'm far less inclined to listen now than when I would have started. And I think if everybody was really honest about this, they are too. Like, it's just like it's one of those things where I just went through Alberta from Ontario, and the one thing I very quietly have noticed, everybody's sick of the shit. Everybody.
I don't know if it's a very quiet thing. I feel like a lot of people have voiced that opinion that they just want all this to be over.
Yeah, but no, all this to be over, yes. But that actual step to go back to some kind of normal and acknowledging life is risk. That's just part of life. Like, one day I'm going, like, this is where, like, I've dealt with my own, like, near-death experiences. And one day it just comes to you at some point. I'm not going to be here forever, one day I'm going to not be here. So I can worry about how I'm going to die. Or, for example, I love talking to you. I think you're an amazing person. I think you're an amazing person. And I can dwell on my impending doom, or I can just enjoy the fact that I am with an amazing human being, and I'm going to take the opportunity, because, again, I don't know how many. I don't take for granted the conversations or any of the people I meet in my life, because we only see each other for a limited amount of time. So instead of treating it like just something I'm always going to do, just treat it like the treasure it is and celebrate those moments with those people. That's how you live. That's how you survive this, right? That's the real secret. I don't know if everybody's ready for that. And again, people listening might disagree with me. That's totally fine too. I'm a big enough man to say I ain't always right. Like I said at the beginning, I screw up. It happens. But I also know this too. I'm too old to be scared. I'm too old to worry about how I'm going to die. I am much more concerned about how I'm going to live. That means a lot more to me than that. And like I said, the more I know, the more inclined I'm just say fuck it and go for it. But again, it's just how I'm wired.
It's a weird. This is definitely a time based on personal experiences. It's hard because I know a lot of people with that same mentality, but then I also know a lot of people, like including myself, didn't understand the weirdness of this disease and how it affects people in so many different ways. And there's just so many variables that it's hard to say, yeah, we should just go back to normal, but also everyone's going to be affected by it differently. Everyone's going to be affected by it at different extremities. Some it's going to be really hard, some it's going to be really easy, some people are not going to have any symptoms, and some people are going to either die or nearly die. Like it's a new thing that's been introduced to us, and trying to keep into account what's happened to everyone during this time. I see both sides, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And it's finding that middle ground to like, yes, let's go back to normal, but also like, let's not kill off all the old people. You know what I mean?
Oh no, I get it. Like, but that's a targeted response, right? That's a targeted response. I think it's more like a more logical way of doing it is just have the most vulnerable populations are 65 and up, the most vulnerable, generally. So what can we do? Like a good example of this, simple, another just things that just seems logical to me. Majority of people that died in Ontario lived in homes. So you know what you do? You make the homes better. You actually just make their homes a better, safer place for them, right? And so it increases their chances. Because I think the worst thing for someone like that is in a home that can't see family is to die alone. I mean, that's a horrible fate, right? So that's so like I said, like I just think there are other approaches too that could be done at the same time. Like I said, we go back to something I said earlier, hammer and nail. Not every problem can be solved with a hammer. If you see nothing but nails, eventually the hammer will break the hammer, because no one's gonna care about it anymore either. And that's kind of, like I say, as you say, it's an interesting balance. But it's also again, who do you want to be and where do you want to go, right? And there is something about that too. That's just how I see it. So.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there is going to have some changes in adaptability. Like they're already starting, like especially in the workplace. I'm not too sure about homes, how they plan to make those a little bit safer for outbreaks like this. But I know like at a lot of places of work, they're talking about like hybrid schedules, right? Where they move from like working from into the office and keeping that distance a little bit more. Because now we've seen that we can function without having to go down to the office every day, right? Which I'm sure a lot of people are very excited about, that they don't have to go down to the office every day.
See, I think this is like in the States, it's created an interesting phenomenon, which is this. I just a guy like me, I'm doing my own stuff. I'm having a blast doing all my own stuff, right? So I'm like, why would I work for someone again? The same way. This is a very unique opportunity for everybody here. I mentioned this a little off the air, so this is where I'm going to kind of bring this to you.
Okay.
You're a world-class singer. I know. I've listened to your stuff. You're great. You're really great. I don't think you realize how great you actually are. Now again, so I made her blush. This is awesome. I made her blush.
Yeah, that happens.
So when I do message you sometimes, is this the response I get? Do we get it with you sometimes? Like I get you just to blush, like laugh, and like, oh God.
Compliments are hard. Okay, I never know how to take them.
We're gonna talk about
they are appreciated.
Yeah, but we're gonna talk about that actually, because I see
no.
it. Oh yes, don't worry. Yes, I'm going to build you up to the moon. It's what I do. But I mean, at the same token, it's interesting because I've had this. This is my really crazy thought. I've said this to a few. So I'm either onto something or I'm on something. I'll let you decide the answer to that. Okay. So
all right.
So this is the other, I think, thing about this time that I think is really interesting to me. So what's a community? If a community is some people that can talk and regularly interact and engage with, well, you and I are still about 1,000 kilometers away from each other, and yet we're having a wonderful conversation. I've made you blush, laugh, think, and I did that all, and I'm making you blush again, and this is fantastic. I love this. I can almost do this on cue with you. I see why sometimes like I probably scare you a little bit, because it's just looking at the impact I'm having on you here. I can only imagine sometimes what I say to you outside. So, but the point's the same. A community can literally be anywhere. It doesn't have borders of country. It doesn't have borders of city. It doesn't have borders of we can go. So here's the second question. So there's that. Now, yes, social media is a dumpster fire when it comes to communicating with people. However, if you actually use it as what it's designed to do, which is a tool to communicate, meet new people, and look for information, you can find all kinds of interesting things out because people see everything. And if you're willing to look, you'll discover all kinds of cool stuff. So why do you need news? I can learn practically anything thanks to the wonders that is YouTube University. Thanks to the wonders that is, there's so many how-to things everywhere. Like knowledge is literally at your fingertips. So typical education doesn't exist either. And then finally, we have cryptocurrency, which is essentially video game money, kind of, sort of, right? But here's the thing. You don't need a banking system anymore. So all these pillars of government that we had prior to this point in time are by and large not necessary. I mean, you still need a police. You still need a fire department. Like, you still need some infrastructure, but you don't need the same kind of infrastructure anymore.
You know what? Oh no, you froze.
Oh no, I know. Go.
I was gonna say, I half agree with you. I think you're on a really good track, but I think as of right now, like finding information on social media and YouTube and stuff like that, it's not necessarily the information you find, it's the sources that you're getting them from. And I think once there's more kind of regulative and more reliable information that's being put on, I agree. I think maybe we will come to a point where we can rely more on platforms as opposed to old global news, because let's be honest here, who has cable anymore? But like same with like YouTube and all that kind of stuff, right? Like there is a lot of stuff that you can find on social media that might be credible, but there's no way to check it right now, or no reliable way to check it. You know what I mean?
Well, see, I'm going to push back just a pidge on this.
Ooh, I like debates.
Yeah. Because most of the information I'm looking for are government reports, statistical analysis. And I can find that information better on a social media page than I can from the mainstream media. I can also look, so I can actually go into deeper places of information that's already, like, that is credible. It's coming literally from these places. But I know where to look for them now because I know where to look and how to look for them. Whereas before, how money works. Most people have no idea how their financial system works. I can find that information and get it from an exact credible source because that information's always been there. But most of us never, again, school doesn't teach us. You're never going to get that stuff on the news. You're never going to, like, some of the most fundamental things in our education system are lacking. You can literally look for and find incredible sources. The fact that the idea that you're going to a conspiracy website where they got all the scoops, that's actually kind of an obsolete idea. The truth of the matter is, like, as far as like when I've been researching what's been going on, I'm not looking at any of those sites. What I'm looking at is statistical reports, government reports. I'm looking at what's going. I'm comparing what other countries are legitimately doing, what has been released, what has actually been legitimately proven beyond a shadow of a doubt, and I'm comparing it to what's going on here. And I got an idea where we are. More importantly, I can guess where we're going, just based on the fact that it's already out there. You just have to go look and see it, right? It's just a matter of making a decision of what you're looking for. If you're looking for, like, hey man, go to this great website here and get all the clicks, it'll give you all the top secret scooping out all this information. No, I'm not interested in that. What I am interested, however, is, hey, listen, do you want to see the latest preprint of this vaccine impact on this population literally today? Or do you want to see an actual COVID report that came out a week ago from the very governments that do this? That stuff's there. People, what I think it is it's a matter of thinking. Mm-hmm. It's more along the lines of, are you willing to look? If you are willing to look, it's there. But that also means, however, that you have to change how you think about it a little bit. Like, I no longer think about, okay, Canada's current policies on whatever. It doesn't matter. It can be COVID, it can be whatever you're on. It doesn't fucking matter. I can look at what we are doing, and now I can compare and contrast it with other systems that are already out there. We're connected to all these places. So I can look at how Japan does something versus how Canada does something. I can look at what I think the Japanese do it better. I can look where they do it worse. And then we can propose all these better ideas because the information is literally right there. The question is, are you willing to look? Because here's the flip side. Sometimes once you see things, you can't unsee things. That's the other truth too. You can't. This goes back to that little thing we were talking about earlier about lying is very, very hard. This is where truth can be a burden in and of itself too. Like, once you see something, you have to be able to handle what you're seeing. And that sounds like a really terrible thing, but the fact is, there's something. I like to think I'm strong and stuff sometimes, right? But there are things even I'm not ready to handle. I can only carry so much. And that's true with everybody. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it's also about being honest with yourself too, right? Going back to that honesty thing. Does that make sense?
It does. It's like I said, it's one of those placement type things of everyone's experiences and where they are and who's ready to look for what you believe, what you find, what you research, how you research it. Like, everyone has their own opinion. Everyone's done their own thing. It's just kind of a matter of right now what your experience has been with all of that, right? In the vague way I can explain possible.
So I'll just say this like this. Here's the last thing I will say about this. That doesn't mean my shit doesn't stink. I am certainly a very fallible human being. I don't know everything. And even how I interpret things, there are other interpretations out there. Like, there's not necessarily a correct answer. However, here's the thing. The idea that you and I can have a debate and have a different opinion and still see a bigger truth actually makes us better. Even if all I'm doing is making your convictions stronger, you at least thought about alternatives that you might not have thought about before, and vice versa. I believe this even more now, but I am aware of this part. But that's how you grow. Yeah. I did a paper I got someone rejected, ironically, because I didn't have enough sources, even though there's like 20 different sources of all the things I said in there, which is weird. But I digress. I went to two people, and we had me and one person. We had a great debate about how some things were then versus now. Two very different opinions, but we both came out of it better for it because it was just one of those things where it was like I saw where she was coming from because I understood. The other thing too, it's not just having a big mouth like me; it's having the willingness to listen and actually try to understand what's going on. If you can do that, you can, honestly, there's nothing you can't learn and there's nothing you can't empathize with on some level, except maybe, clubbing baby seals. Maybe I can't understand that. No. But
go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
These conversations are my favorite. Like, I love having conversations with people that I genuinely enjoy talking to that might have a different opinion than I do, right? Because it's exactly what you said. I now gain a different perspective. And whether or not I agree with that perspective is one thing, but I respect your perspective, right? Yeah. And it everybody's thoughts stems from something, right? And it gives you a better idea of where everyone is at and how everyone is feeling and how people acquire the information that they have, right? Like, it just makes you so much more well-rounded. So when you have this conversation with somebody that has the same views as you and they say, I can't believe why other people might think this way, you can be like, well, this is what's going on, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, the whole thing is, again, I'm not infallible. I'm really not. Like, I don't know everything. In fact, I'm blatantly aware I don't know everything. So it keeps me somewhat humble. I mean, somewhat. I mean, big head, right? But it's one of those things where you have to recognize, um, you have to recognize the fact that yeah, it's the world is bigger than me. It was a hard shock when I came to that realization. It was one of those epiphany moments where it's just like, I'm not the center of the universe. Oh my God. But I mean, but I get, again, as I've gotten older slash wiser slash something, we'll just say something. As I've gotten something, I came to a realization, like when I was younger, I was afraid of being foolish. I was afraid of being small. I was afraid of being a tiny insignificant thing. But as I've gotten older, smaller than I ever imagined. I look foolish far more often than I ever thought possible. I don't think I'm insignificant, but I also don't think that, like, we have this wonderful ability. Like I said, I can royally fuck things up, and by and large, the world doesn't care. It's a beautiful gift I've been given, in that my impact on the world can be quite profound. But even if I screw it up, the world will go on without me. And that's a wonderful thing. It gives me the freedom to do all kinds of stupid shit. It's great. Right? Right. But again, like that's the whole thing is, you come to those realizations, and then you just realize, like, what do I know on one hand? On the other hand, it's like, but you know what? Now it gives me freedom. I don't have to cooperate. I can be curmudgeonly and stuff. This is fantastic. I'm just going to do the shit I want to do. Now, some people are going to look at you and go, that's selfish. But the truth of the matter is, everybody does what they want to do. The only real question is, why are you doing it? Like, what is the want you are serving? But you are serving a want. Sometimes the want is, for example, when you're on stage singing, you want to pour your heart out to the world and show the world how awesome you are. And also that whatever inside you that you need to say or feel or connect with out there, that's why you do it. It's also why you act. Same thing. That feeling, being able to tell that story, resonating, whatever inside you that needs to come out. Because that's what matters. Like that's important. Right? To shine in the dark. That's why I always say keep shining in the dark at the end of every episode, because that's one of the most important things anyone can do. Right? But all of that said, right? Like those are I think some of the most profound wants in the world to serve. The worst wants in the world to serve are the ones based on fear. Like, I'm afraid to get this thing because I don't know what to do with it. This expectation thing might crush me. It's like, you know what? I didn't draw for probably 10 years because I was afraid I would suck. And then I had this glorious thought one day, so what if I suck? Doesn't matter. What do you want? Do you want to do it or not? Well, since that thought came into my head, I guess I got no fucking excuses. Now if I want to do it, I got to do it. But own your wants. Own your wants. Do not let your wants own you, because either way you serve them.
I really like that.
Mm-hmm.
Own your wants. And I think for me, my biggest success too is when you're owning your wants, is just go into whatever you do exactly how you said. I might suck, but you know what? I'm being vulnerable right now, and I can only really get better from here. And going into it knowing that this might be the wrong choice, or you might be wrong. You're going to be vulnerable, and you might be wrong. And when you go into anything is possible, and you're not to make as many mistakes, because anything can happen.
That's right. And that's the thing. I said it and I meant it. I'm a fuck up, but I'm the best kind of fuck up. I just don't give a shit. I'm just going to do me. It's all I know. We're all here to do what we're all here to do. I love that line from The Matrix. It's a beautiful line. We're all here to do what we're all here to do. And that's it. So the only quick question is, you got this little voice in your head and your heart telling you, you can be this great thing. Do you believe it? Because that tells me more about you than anything else in the world. Because it doesn't matter how far you go in terms of success. I have found that that's not really what it's about. It's about, will you, listen to that. Because if you can keep that alive, right, you'll make sooner or later, you will make magic. Even if no one sees it, it will be awesome and it'll be wonderful and it'll be glorious and good things come from it. She's like, I'm speechless.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
I talk a lot. That's not something that normally happens.
It hit something with you, I think.
Did I talk a lot?
No. No. I know you do. I know you. I know you. Actually, one of the things I adore about you personally is you have a very playful side. Like you have an incredibly playful side. We'll get to your Zelda stuff in a minute, but I want to get to this because this is actually where I wanted to. This is what I wanted to talk to you about. This thing right here, right? Because you're great, and I like no hyperbole, no bullshit. Like you're great. Do you believe that?
Oh, this is just yes. I think I have very strong points. I think the things that I do and the things that I'm fairly confident in, I'm great. And it's taken me a very long time to get to that point, to look back and see how far I've come as opposed to how far I have to go. And that being said, the work that I've done, what I put into it, has made me great. But I'm not great at everything. Right?
That's fair. Well. Okay, let's try this another way. I'm gonna throw this one more way, because I know this too. There are things I do, these little things I do, that I notice that maybe nobody else does, and it drives me crazy, right? Because it's just like, shit. Why do I do that, right? Because it's again, we're not perfect. We're just not. But at the same time, I also realize that the fact is, musically speaking, if I sang, you'd give me money, go, listen, good try, please never again, and just pat me on, like there, it's all good, right? I'm teasing a little bit, but yeah. But the thing is, in terms of pitch, telling a story, conveying emotion, all that's, I have nothing compared to you. Like you've done plenty, and I know I'm focusing more on music than the acting. I feel that's not quite fair. We'll shift that before we do. But here's the thing. You have also a little bit of what I call a burden of knowledge. You've done this for so long. You see things that I never could hope to see in a million years. And I'm just going to throw this back at you. The fact that you can see those things, you're probably better than you even think you are. And I'm not like, no bullshit, no, because because you still see how far you have to go. Truly, the true greats never stop learning, never settle, never truly. You know what? I realized I saw something on a meme and on one of these things. I hate expert culture. That's beside the point. But there's something I just realized, that what most masters truly, they don't give a fuck what people think about their craft. They don't give a fuck. They give a fuck of how far they go on the journey to getting there. And the truly great ones, I've gotten rewards. They're great. They're awesome. Don't care. You know what I care about? I like, okay, I came up with like this undead Hydra in like Alice, and it was so cool and fun. And I came up with like this dragon that literally the shadow shifts because he hasn't slept for so long. He's got so many different personalities. So as the shadow shifts, it's a different dragon you're talking to each and every time. That's cool. Like that kind of stuff. Like I dig that. Am I perfect? Fuck no. Yeah, I got a long way to go. Fuck yes. But you know what? I don't care. I know this, and I'm working at constantly getting better. I don't care about that perfect piece. I care about just doing whatever I did before. I have something new to say, and I'm saying it with more conviction than what I did previously, so it's actually better. I don't fucking care about perfect anymore. I'm too old for that crap. I just want to tell the best thing I possibly can with everything I do. But I still have a long way to go. But then I realized most people that start have no fucking idea what the hell it is I'm thinking about. And I'm like, that's you.
That is me. I have no idea what you're thinking about. None. No one can tell a story. No one can make a point like you. Because that's what you do.
Yeah. And vice versa. No one can sing like you. No one has the songs that I like you. And me trying to do that is impossible. So I'm bringing this back. I think the biggest crime I think most people do is they sell themselves short.
I agree.
And yeah. So, and that's like I said, doesn't mean again my shit doesn't stink because it does. Like that it does. But and at the end of the day that stops. I mean, someone please kick me hard, like really really hard, like either in the butt or in the head. I'm not sure. My head's kind of dense, so maybe just throw the butt. But but all of which to say, like you said, I think you've come even farther than you realize. I mean, you're honestly looking at it, and that's great. But like, where do you want to go with it? Like, what do you want to do with it? Because I feel, I feel there's something untapped there. I could be totally off my rocker, but I probably am off my rocker, but that's okay. But I again, just something. I just let me. When I see you sing, it's joy. Like I've seen more of your singing than acting. That's why I've gone this way. So I gotta go the other way here a little bit. But there's pure joy when you're doing that stuff. And I don't know. I think I'd like to see more of that.
Well, right before we started, I was recording something, so maybe I'll post something later. Who knows?
Yeah. And you're blushing again, by the way.
Yeah, I know. I do love this.
At least
I know.
made you feel... Like, damn it, stop building me up. Fuck. Next thing you know, you take on the world, and then I wake up the next day, #1 best-selling. Okay, wow, that's damn. But it just says like we all expectations is what kills most artists. But I actually think it's the fear of success, not the fear of failure, that actually cripples most of us.
I think for me, it's not the fear of success. I think it's the fear of how to get to that success. Because the more like, for example, I'm going to switch over to acting for half
go ahead. No, we need to. Anyway, so.
Well, no, like music is a great example. I've been doing it for a really long time, and I had these feelings when I was 14 and I first started it. And I didn't realize that feeling sticks with you. And the feeling I'm talking about is walking in or joining a class where there are people genuinely better than you, right? Mm-hmm. And not like better, but like they've practiced more, they've honed their craft more, they've put more time in it, and they're just farther ahead on their journey than I am at my point. Know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So when I was 14 and I first started music, and I walked into my first singing lesson 10 years ago. No, not 10 years ago. Close to 10 years ago, 11, 12 years ago now. Walked into my first singing class, completely tone deaf, watching these people sing who had stuff on radio and were performing at festivals and going all around. That was so intimidating, mm-hmm. right? And watching the work that they had to do terrified me. Because there's so much of being vulnerable, and so much, half of it's going down deep into yourself, finding that emotion and being able to connect to it and bring it out. And then the other half of it is people skills and connecting and making those connections with people who have done all that and can show you how to get there. Mm-hmm. And when I was 14 doing all this, it wasn't until I was probably 18 or 19 when I actually started to have those guidances come into effect and have those feelings really set in and understand what that meant. Now, flashback to yesterday, where I haven't had that feeling in a really long time, and I audited an acting class, and I watched everyone do their emotional preparation and do their scenes, and they are way farther ahead than I am. And those feelings came back, right? And so it's that fear of what you have to go through to get there. But when you get there, you just want to keep going. Know what I mean?
Interesting. So for me, this is just always has been me. This is going to sound really weird. I thoroughly enjoy getting my ass kicked sometimes. because I look at it like as a learning opportunity. Because there are people far more talented than me that I have gone farther than. Talent and skill are super important. I'm not going to say they're not, but more often than not, right? They're really just the beginning. And you can spend your whole life perfecting, acting, the art of being funny, because that I know appeals to you. You like being funny, you like being comedic, and you have you're probably in my top 3 funniest things, some funniest people I see when you are funny. Like you're very good at it. You understand timing and you know how to tell a story really, really well, right? Yeah, blushing again. but
Are we
the thing
counting how many
about that,
times I've laughed or how many times I've blushed? Is there 2 counts going on now?
actually, there's 3. The third one's a secret. But yes,
What's the third?
I'm telling you on the air.
How many times I talked to my cat?
No, nothing to do with the cat. Nothing to do with the cat. But here's the thing, right? You can spend your whole life learning the art of being funny, and I don't think it's a wasted journey.
No,
and not even a little bit. But my question to you is, the learning, where do you want it to take you? Because that's the real. So I have a big mouth. So you know what I kind of want to do with it? Like kind of what I'm doing now, but I just want to keep expanding it even more and more and more. So like maybe this will be an obnoxious logo. Like it'll blind you when you come on the air. It's like, oh God! You have to come wearing like obnoxious sunglasses. That's why. Dude, your sign, it's obnoxious. I mean, what kind of asshole does that to his guest, right? And maybe something like that, or just the idea that I can bring people into a studio, like kind of like what Rogan does, and we just sit there and we just talk about we bullshit like we've been doing for the last hour. But I have a direction in mind, right? So because I have that direction, right? The universe kind of goes like in this really weird, wacky, little wonderful way that, hey, we're going to clutter out this. Because at some point, again, not saying I don't take time to learn, because I'm learning all the time. I've been teaching myself new skills this whole pandemic. Like I'm always learning, but it serves the purpose of what I believe where I need to go. So Miss Nikki Nash, here's the second biggest profound. Where do you want to go? You don't need to tell me the answer to this, but deep down on the inside, where do you want to go and where do you believe you can go? Because that is even more important than the knowledge you will acquire. That doesn't mean you shouldn't stop acquiring knowledge. But again, it's not. Talent is almost never a question with people. In fact, it might even be the most overrated quality people have. It's your heart. It's what you believe and what you truly believe is possible with you. And are you willing to deal with the things? What?
I can answer your question.
Okay, you want to answer? Okay, let me.
My computer froze on my end, so I was like, "Is this a good time to jump in?" And then
no, okay, sorry, no, lousy internet. but no, what I was gonna say is, right, more like where do you want to go? Yes. Are you willing? Often the path. This is the last part of this. I've realized this too. The biggest path to get to where you got to go, at some point, you have to face the things you're afraid of the most. Because very often, those are the doors that will lead you to your promised land. So now you can answer your question.
All right. So I do know exactly where I want to go. And for me, it's not necessarily, I love being on a stage. I don't care how big that stage is. I love being a part of film. I love being in movies. I love being in little like series. I don't care how big the series is. For me, I just want to be able to give something back. And I want to be heard and I want to be seen, but not because I want to be heard and I want to be seen, but because I want people to genuinely connect and enjoy to the art that I'm putting back out there. So I don't need an arena and millions of people sitting there to do that. That could be anywhere. I don't need to be on a huge Netflix show. I can do that anywhere, right? But the point is that I have to do it, which is where I see myself going, is just continuously going out there, doing my thing, connecting with as many people as I can with my music, with my art, with all those things, having them feel something too. and just keep going from there. But for me, it's rejection. That's the biggest thing that's holding me back. It's rejection and being told that I'm, that not that I'm not good, but I'm not there. And eventually we will push past that. And we are pushing past that every day. That's how I've gotten to here. From the moment I walked in completely tone deaf, being told you're not ready to go on a stage yet, to now have played at like the Calgary Stampede and Klondike Days and all those places. We're getting there. We're moving.
Yeah, we are. No, so writing is the rejection business, much like yours is. It's the ultimate rejection business, right? And much like your business is the same. So, but here's it's odd. It's how they tell me no that actually was encouraging to me. Not so much that they told me no. There's the standard rejection letter. Well, thank you for submitting, but we are not accepting anything from you at this. We're not going to accept this. This isn't good enough. Okay, like they didn't say it isn't good enough, but we're not accepting this. It's like standard letter.
Thank you. You're just not the right fit at this time.
No. That's actually a nicer letter. We'll get there. Like then there goes level 2.
But there's a secondary. What?
No. There's tiers to this. Let me explain. So there's a second tier.
All right, I'm gonna just listen now.
Yeah. So there's the second tier. So in the first tier, what I'm just talking about, they may not even read your freaking manuscript. They might just look at because again, that first page has to hook them. So sometimes it's like, nah, fuck, like the first page, this guy doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. Oh God. Okay. Standard rejection letter. We're not gonna. We don't have time to. I've been on the editing end of things. Sometimes, like when you get like brilliant pieces of writing, it's a wonderful thing. But when you get bad stuff, sometimes it hurts. Like it hurts like right here, like in the gut. Like it really hurts because you care. And it just is like You don't discourage those people though, because everybody starts somewhere. So you give them a general rejection and you move on. Then there's level 2. They read my stuff. And you can tell because there's fingerprints on all of the pages. It's like, yes, they read it. Right? They read it. And honestly, you'll get some like this. Now you get like a little bit more personal. Dear Mr. Pentelaresco, thank you for submitting. Unfortunately, we cannot accept this. Notice the difference. It wasn't a standard form. Then you move another level up. Then you move another level up. And then it's like, okay, this is the level you're talking about where we're not accepting at this time. So it's like sometimes you get rejected not because your stuff's not good enough, but because you're just like it's sometimes with like a casting director, right? Sometimes you pull this amazing character and I'm looking at you and I'm like, this is good too. I can't use you. Fuck. I can't use this. This is good. So then it's when you get it won't fit at this time because sometimes it's the right. You know this as well as like a cast makes a film, a cast makes a show. Sometimes just if for whatever reason, and I know it's really ridiculously hard right now considering how auditions and stuff is done right now. It's kind of insane. It's kind of super hard to do, but even so, how does Nikki Nash fit with this person? You can only go based on what you've done here. And it's like, sometimes it's just like, this is good, but this isn't gonna quite get the impact this is. It's almost like picking ice cream flavors. You're strawberry, they're chocolate. And it's like, that was a really good strawberry. So then there's that. Then there's, it was so nice. I want the yes now because I feel so good about this no. Right? I felt so good about this now. So, and now we're tying this. I know you're working on it, and I'm not gonna browbeat the keep submitting because you don't need to hear that bullshit. Here's what you need to hear, right? Right? Sometimes the no's actually are an opportunity to get yeses down the road too, and it's all in how. What you want to notice with no's in particular is the amount of time they put into the no. If they actually put an effort into the no, they actually give a shit about you and they want you to come back at some point. But they don't always have the wonderful ability to go, well, you're the wrong ice cream flavor. And I'm sorry, but you're just the wrong ice cream flavor for this. Are you there? Are you there, Nikki? Damn it. There she is. Yeah, I saw. Where'd you get to? Where did you get to?
I got to basically the beginning of your monologue.
Okay. What I'm saying is like sometimes the no's, right? How the no is actually a potential opportunity for a yes down the road, because sometimes like it's like I can't use you here, but I really like you. You're just the wrong, like I said, ice cream flavor for this particular. You're just the wrong flavor of ice cream, and I'm sorry because you're still. Good God, you were better than that guy. Oh, I just gave him stand. I don't even want to look at. Like I saw a minute and I ran away screaming. You I was into just wasn't like the detail of no. The detail of the no might lead you to opportunities for yeses down the road. And what I've learned, oh no, did you go again? No, she's still here. Okay, thank God. That's it. No, I thought you froze again. It's like, oh no, just disappear.
Oh no, I was nodding. I was agreeing.
Yeah. So the no's were the no's sometimes they do lead to yeses. Now sometimes they're like, okay, so most of the recent rejection I got was last week, like before I got caught up in this crazy deadline I'm in right now, so I had to stop. But I got to pitch something else tomorrow because you know what they said? This isn't right for me, but I like your stuff. Send me something else. That's a hell of a rejection, isn't it?
That's awesome.
Right? That's a hell of a rejection. So don't dwell on the no. Dwell on how they said it, because there's even in that I've seen this with directors too. There are levels of no's. There are levels of no's. You just have to be aware. You have to be aware of where that level is. I don't know if there's a directorial equivalent that I felt so good about this no that I almost like wish it was like. I've heard yeses that were like more unkind than this no, right? Yeah, and so it was just like, I don't know if you got that. Again, it is a slightly different industry, but everything's an opportunity. Say thank you, and if nothing else, say thank you, because you didn't have to look at your stuff at all. So just take it, and then suddenly, who knows? That person that said no to you says you were the wrong ice cream flavor for this, but you were the perfect for this Sunday right here. And next thing you know, you're off on the races, right?
And for me, that's exactly it. Like, it's not necessarily getting that different letter, but it's getting that one audition, whether that be for music or for acting, and the ice cream flavor comes back if you get brought back into the room again for something different, right? Like, you don't have a whole lot of communication in this industry. Like, you'll have your coaches and you'll have your managers who will give you feedback all the time. But the real feedback you get is how often people ask for you, right? So that's always a win for me whenever people are like, hey, Nikki, can we see what she can do? I'm like, yeah, you can. Nice. Bring me in. Here we go.
That's right. And you've been getting more and more of that as time's gone on, I bet, too.
COVID was a game changer. I had a lot more time to dedicate to my craft since everything was closed, and I ended up getting the most auditions I've ever gotten. I even booked something over the time. Like, we were really happy. It was really great.
The burger thing on Instagram still gets me every time I see it.
That was my prize of what was it, the summer of 2021.
No, I saw that. It made me laugh so hard because it was like because I could tell you were ravenous for that freaking burger at that point in time. There was no acting there. It was like, oh shit. But no, I mean, it is not like you're in like you did some kind of like, I guess, modeling gig. Or some acting, something like that anyway. And at the very end, it's just you eat this burger in a bikini. I'm like, this is amazing. This is like you could not make this up in a million years. I'm probably going to steal this somewhere, somehow, some way in a story down the road.
Please do. I can actually tell you the backstory to that on how that happened.
Sure.
So it was actually, I was going with a couple other girlfriends who work in the acting and modeling industry, and we were told that we were eating on this boat. I didn't know how much food was going to be there, but so I just didn't have a whole lot that day. And I didn't realize how long this boat ride was going to be. So I was starving, not realizing that I was going on to this boat ride and we weren't going to eat until we got to the 2-hour destination, like from where we started. And I remember asking for ketchup because it doesn't matter how hungry I am. I will not have a burger without ketchup. It's just who I am. I will starve. That's just how it goes. And so then they didn't bring it up, or no one brought it up. And I was like, is there any anywhere? They were like, yeah, it's downstairs. So I whipped down to the bottom of the boat. I got that ketchup. I put it all over. And I guess the way I was hoarding it, one of the girls on the boat was like, Nikki, I need a picture of you right now. You need to see what you look like. And so at first it was me like hoarding the ketchup because that was the true thing. And then I took a bite into the burger and she's like, wait.
No, seriously, you look like a predator that just had killed their meal. That's basically what it is.
I got Gollum in the ring. That's what I got from that.
Well, no, there's a survivor in there. It's like, holy shit. It's like, I'm not like, there's like a street tourism and never become between a man and his sweet meal. And that epitomized that perfectly. I was just not going to do that in a million years. Right. But it cracked me up like to the nth degree because it's just like I said, I like you. And one of the things I really like about you is like there is a certain honesty to you. And just like, this is who I am, take it or fucking leave it. I love that about you. And it's one of those things where it just even if I see that picture to this day, it cracks me up. Like it just legitimately makes me laugh because it's also oddly very not the predator ready to devour world. It's just like, you know what? I don't give a shit. This is who I am. Don't like it. Fuck. Like that feels like so you in that sense. And I was just like, I like that. I really dug that. Yeah. Now she's blushing a little bit. She's on a little blush, but mostly laughter there.
Mostly laughter.
Yeah.
No, I'm just thinking back to that day, and yeah, the scenario of how that happened is just as funny as the picture, and I can attest to that.
Yes. That's the end result. Like that was a payoff to like there was like a joking of it right there. It was amazing. So let's see. I drew, like I said, you've seen me draw. I've drawn some Zelda stuff. Like I know you're big.
You mean Zelda stuff?
I guess I haven't shown you. I'll have to show you. Like that's not.
You have to show me Zelda stuff.
Yeah, I've drawn some Zelda stuff. Some of it, not a lot of it. Like, so I'm gonna confess. Like, do you know what actually kicks my ass drawing? There's two things, right? Breast and Lego.
Yeah. They're hard.
Yeah, Lego was the one that actually surprised me the most, right? Like, I didn't think Lego could be that hard. I didn't think so. Then I drew it, and at the end it was like, the body shape's easy enough, but the face.
It's the lines.
Yeah.
It's hard. Like, I drew an 8-bit Link the other day, and I thought that would be easy. It's a bunch of rectangles and squares. It shouldn't be that hard, but the problem with Lego and 8-bit is that if it's not perfectly even and straight, it becomes askew or things don't align, and it just, one little mistake, you have a completely different photo.
So the other thing I struggled with, believe it or not, was Jigglypuff.
Jigglypuff is hard.
I joked on my Instagram, this Jiggly has no puffs.
I saw that post and I laughed just as hard as I did right now.
Yes. Because I try. Like again, because for me this is fun and learning. And then things I don't think I can draw. Like it's the first time I drew John Stewart as Green Lantern. Like the Green Lantern John Stewart was like, that looks so hard. And I drew it. It's like, holy shit, I actually can draw Green Lantern John Stewart. It's like, okay, why was this so easy? And why did Lego kick my ass? There's these questions in the universe I'll never, like, again, I don't know much. But it's like this doesn't seem like it would be so hard, but yet it is. Holy shit, right?
It's the proportions, I'm telling you. Anything with circles or perfect squares or perfect rectangles is just, you're not ready for that level of stress.
You think you are, but nope, not at all. And actually with 8-bit, it's the eyes. It's always the eyes. The eyes are the key to this. The coolest thing I've done so far, I got to draw someone that worked with Warner Brothers. I got to draw someone that's done Game of Thrones twice now, which is kind of cool. Yeah. The first time though, I drew the Grinch. I figured out how I can now draw the Grinch almost on cue. Like the secret to that is totally the smile, and I figured it out. And once it's like, I got the Grinch. I figured out the Grinch, so I can draw a heinous cat that has a penchant for dressing up like Santa and stealing Christmas from everybody. That might be a horrible.
Is that?
It kind of is. Like he's not exactly a cat, but he's enough. Drawing a cat does not, like, the ears are different. Like, he doesn't have the ears proportion to the cat, but if you take the ears out.
Whiskers and stuff, I can see it.
Yeah. It's the smile that gives it away, though. The whole secret is the smile, right? So you get the smile down, you'll get the Grinch. You could probably make a terrier Grinch, and it would still work because it's all in the grin, right? I actually think Dr. Seuss played the name of the Grinch as a joke because the secret is in the grin. So it's like, I see what you did there.
Ha ha. That just clicked. I just got that.
Yeah. It makes sense, right? It's like, oh my God. Yeah. I said Dr. Seuss has a sense of humor. Speaking of, let's see. Okay, I got to pin you down. Favorite Legend of Zelda game of all time and why is it
Majora's Mask.
Okay. Majora's Mask? It's Ocarina of Time or Link to the Past for me.
See, I haven't played A Link to the Past yet, and that's a little bit of a shame that I carry. But Ocarina of Time, it was a very good game. Yes.
The only reason I didn't like Majora's Mask, the thing I like about Ocarina of Time over Majora's Mask is just the fact that Ocarina, I wish there was a little bit more adult Link. I actually did like the time mechanic in Majora's Mask, but I did love the interaction between Kid Link and Adult Link in Ocarina. Second half of the game, it's an amazingly, like, the first 3 dungeons are nice and all that stuff, but once you get to like the actual 7 years into the future, it's like, okay, now you're really into the game, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculously hard, and now I got to think about all this stuff, and I love all like the little neat tricks that came in that game. I mean, that game, I can still play it and enjoy the game even now to this day, even though I've beaten it like dozens of times. It never gets old for me.
No, I started replaying it again the other day, and then I got to the water temple, and I was like, I'll revisit this in 6 months. Nope.
I don't remember how I did it last time.
I thought it had to do with like the Triforce and singing, like playing Zelda's Lullaby, and that's not it. And I don't want to look up cheats, so eventually I'll become smart enough to figure it out. But until then,
the hardest fight in the game is Dark Link. That is, although I cheat, I cheat like a son of a bitch. I used I'm not gonna fight you in this.
Doesn't everyone use Din Fire? Isn't that how you beat him?
That's one way. I mean, it's hard. It's hard. You can. So what I used was the hammer.
Yes, the hammer.
I'm not gonna go start with you. Cheat that. No. I'm gonna beat you down with this hammer. You're gonna go down eventually. And I got bottles and fairies. I will survive this. This is gonna take everything I got.
It'll take all of my fairies and all of my stamina, but I will do it. All of my magic power.
Yeah, but Majora, the time mechanics really neat. I like the fact that you're going back and replaying the same 3 days over and over. I think it's 3 days. I think I'm wrong. Yeah, and you're just doing different parts of the day in different places. So
I think. Go ahead.
No, go.
I think I understand why that turned off a lot of people from that game. For me, where the love comes from is all of the storylines that they threw in behind it. Like if you look into a lot of the stories that they threw in, besides the main storyline, that game is so well thought out. There's so many different themes. There's so many different connections. There's so many different theories if you follow any of the theories that people have about that game. Like I went into such a rabbit hole that before this, my favorite game was Wind Waker because that was the one that got me into the series. Me and my dad used to play it all the time when I was a kid. And then I played this game, Majora's Mask, when I was, I think, in my early 20s, maybe late teens, early 20s. And going down the rabbit hole and learning the theory behind the entire game is what won it for me.
Yeah. No, I actually like the time mechanic. It creates an interesting sort of pressure that I've played it in other games too. I think Majora's Mask does it the best. The other game I finished with that mechanic is so this is how old I am. I'm old. Shut up. My very first game with a similar mechanic was Time Lord.
That's an old game.
That's an old game, like 1987 old game. The
That's a pre-me game.
Yes. Yeah, no, the level like 2 where you're in the Old West, I never could kill that guy. And you like literally have to see all the time. Like every time you're moving, so there's a date in the timeline, you have to get back before a certain point or you die. So there's a pressure to get through this level as quickly as you can. But at the same time, it's like I couldn't kill that one dude. Just Nintendo hard. It's Nintendo hard. If you've never played Nintendo hard, you won't know my pain. But if you have, you will. So there was that. I played Lightning Returns, Final Fantasy 13, which also has the time mechanic. But that one is easier than Majora's Mask. Majora, there's always a little pressure until you get to the very end of the game. There's always a little pressure with the time. When you get to the end of the game, there's not so much because you've done everything. So you have a little more time. You have a little bit more time. With Lightning Returns, you can get to that point actually pretty early in the clock if you know what you're doing, and you're like, so all this pressure I had early is gone because I've done everything. Fuck. Okay. Because that's the only other problem with the time mechanic, right? Is if you do everything too early, there's no pressure, and you can literally have to wait the stupid clock out. You're like, for the love of God, just get there so I can get to the end of the game, right? Nope. It's like, it's like, but Majora actually does a really good job with the balance on that. But I will say, if you have to pay, I'm not gonna lie, it's Ocarina for me. So
it's Ocarina for a lot of people. I've gotten into that debate a couple times. Why is Majora's Mask better? How is it better?
Well, no, hey, listen, we all have guilty pleasures, right? And I'm not saying Majora's Mask is a guilty pleasure. It's a good game. It's just not but I mean, I like stuff that nobody else likes. Like, hey, my dirty little secret. I enjoyed the second 2 movies of the Matrix trilogy. I'm okay with admitting it. They're not as good as the first one, and I know that. I still enjoy it. I'm laughing at parts I shouldn't in the last movie because they weren't as well done as they could have been, but it wasn't the fault of the people involved. I mean, the actors on there, they were just reading the lines they were given. It's just like, could have been done a little bit better. But for all that, I can still enjoy the movies for what they are.
Plus, when you have such a strong first movie like The Matrix or in any series, it's really hard to live up to that expectation.
Oh! I know, but I think the scene I think the scene where I laughed that I shouldn't have laughed was when Smith threw the cookies in the kitchen to the wall. It was supposed to make him look terrifying, but I ended up laughing because it wasn't like. Full
disclosure, I have not seen 2 of the I think I've seen the first one once in religion class back in junior high, and then occasionally when my dad throws it on for whenever I'm there. But I haven't seen the 3.
So there are biblical connections in the first one for sure, and there are a few definitely in the second one, and I guess the third by default, although the third doesn't really deal with them the same way. But no,
that's why we watched the first one. Was we were doing a project of connecting the religious aspects of the Matrix a long time ago,
which was Buddhism and Christianity primarily.
Yeah, I think I went to a Catholic school, so it was more focused on Christianity and who Judas was, and that's really the only question I remember.
Dang.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's 10 years ago. It's pretty good for 10 years ago.
That's not bad. I'm just going back and thinking. It's like, wow, that's the least interesting part of the biblical stuff to me. I always dug the name of the ship, Nebuchadnezzar, and I also just thought that they actually have a Bible verse like etched in one of the.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there is. But it's also the first movie has one of my favorite pieces of writing of all time because they were dicks and they did it in the best possible way. So when the Oracle goes to Neo, and I'm spoiling The Matrix, everybody. It's okay. It's 1999. I don't care that much. So my favorite part is like she goes, like you had the gift, but you're waiting for something. And then she goes, what? The next life, maybe. Who knows? I I kicked myself because you get to the end of the movie, he dies and he comes back as the one. So in the next life, he's like, oh, you got to be kidding me.
I remember that part. I do remember that. I remember her exactly saying, "Not in this life."
Yeah.
Maybe in this life, not in this one.
The next life, maybe. Who knows? Like, what's what you're waiting for? It's like, oh. That was good writing. That was really, really good writing. I've seen bad examples of writing like with that kind of thing in mind, but that, because like you did it in such a like the best magic tricks are the ones right in front of people, and then,
they don't know that they're there, but they're there.
Well, yeah, everything's about expectations, right? Like comedy, especially, is about like you love fucking with people's expectations in comedy. It's just that's the whole thing. It's like, how can I subvert this and make this funny? And if you're really good, profound. That's the really good nature of comedy. Is they have that ability to toe that line of this is outrageous, borderline wrong, it's crass, but it makes me think. Great comedians do that, and that to me is, I mean, the best magic tricks comedians do is their joke is literally right here. This is my joke, and I'm gonna make you laugh with this. And they're like, it's like, watch this. Okay, that was funny.
Yeah, everyone's.
Right? And they're like, yeah, I told you this is what I was gonna do to you. Or the other thing, it's like, okay, we know you're trying to make us laugh at this. Am I? Nah, I'm going this way. I'm gonna give you this instead, right? Just again, just screwing with people's expectations is the heart of great storytelling. It's the heart of comedy too.
It's tying it together, but also not being too predictable.
Yeah, actually, you can be predictable, but you gotta twist it in a really, really, really interesting way. Like the punchline can be the same. Hey, I can totally do a lame ass joke about trying to get a girl, and I can both fail miserably or I can succeed spectacularly, right? It's how I succeed or how I fail. Like the best way to succeed, something I said at the very beginning, I'm a fuck up, and I do it in such a way that it works in my favor. That's the best kind of joke because there's just enough true to life there that's like, oh my god, that could totally happen, Or if I fail, I did everything right. What the fuck did I miss? Right? That's also funny, but in a different way, right? Like it's screwing with, and I know, ladies and gentlemen, anyone watching, listening to this, yeah, I butchered that incredibly terribly. I never claimed to be a comedian. I can be funny sometimes, but that comedy is an art form. And if I were seriously trained for it, I'd be performing in a laundromat.
You explained to me your laundromat theory once.
Yes. Did you remember it? So, where's the one place in the universe no one goes to laugh?
Yeah, the laundromat.
No one's there. No one's there because they want to be there. They're there because their clothes stink. And they're there to deal with their shit. So if someone can come along and get me laughing in a place I don't want to be, well, they'll get me laughing for sure in a place I do want to be. It's great training because nobody, it's easy to be funny when people come in to expect laughter. You're damn good when you can make people laugh without even trying. And especially in places they don't want to be. Like if you had been really bummed out and I tried to tell a terrible, terrible joke and I could somehow make you laugh in spite of everything you're feeling in that moment, then I've done something really profound. But if you're coming in just expecting a stupidly good time, well, it's not as hard for me to be funny, right? Because you already had that half expectation. Although I am going to admit, I'm going to fail the number of times I made you laugh compared to the last time. Because this has actually been surprisingly, I think overall a deeper conversation.
Oh, yeah.
Last time I just picked up the fact that, and I'll totally be self-deprecating off the air because I'm sure we're going to talk for a little bit off the air too before you disappear. But it's one of those things where it's just like, if people are coming in and expecting a good time, they tend to have a good time. It's much harder. It's much harder when they have no idea. That's also, I mean, it's definitely, it's not as easy, but it's still possible. People are open to it. You just gotta, I mean, that's the secret to my success. I have a big mouth and people seem to enjoy it. So, I mean, it doesn't matter who comes in the door. So, but at the same time, there's an open mindedness there. Laundromat? No. I mean, I think the only place more terrifying is like a waiting room for like a tax office.
Ooh.
No one wants to go there.
No.
See, no one. But if you can make someone laugh there, you are the best. You are the absolute best. Because first, now grant you, getting you in that building to make people laugh might be like pulling teeth. Like I was dragging you. You gotta go in there. No, you can't make me.
No, I'm not going.
Yeah, I'm not going. You can't make me. It'll be good for you. No, it won't. Lies. Don't lie to me. But other than that, I mean, Laundromat's pretty much up there, right? It's like, wait, this is where, if I was serious about my craft of doing comedy, I'd probably go to a laundromat, because who the fuck wants to laugh at a laundromat? Nobody. Well, at least they don't realize they want to laugh. But if I can get them going here, I'll kill it at any comic club. I'm the fucking man. I can do that laundromat with those people that didn't even understand what the fuck I was saying. They were laughing. I'm gonna own this place right now. Like there's just there's a certain I don't know. Maybe, like I said, maybe I'm on something, not onto something. But I'm very, very okay with that in that case, because it's just because it makes sense to me. If you can bring joy in a place where people don't expect it, you truly have a gift.
I agree with that. It's
well.
I know. I have nothing to say to that. I have no comment.
So do you want to know what the third tally is?
Oh, yes. How many times that I didn't have a response? Wait, what did I get to? 3, 4?
You're at 3 as of right now.
Okay.
It's 3. I think the first thing I said really resonated with you, which was once. That resonated with you. This, you like that. And the third time was when I mentioned magic.
Magic.
Yes. Because just the way I described it. I think you really enjoyed that. So.
Yeah, I took all those points in because they're described to me in ways that I never thought before, and it was kind of like, hey, those are good points. A response to that. Give me a minute.
Like, let me calculate this. Shit, he's onto something. Fuck.
What do I say here? I don't know.
But I mean, that's the best part, right? You learn, and and I learn from everybody a little bit too, and that's why I love doing the show. So
it goes back to what we were saying earlier. Going into a conversation with an open mind, willing to learn the other person's perspective, you come out twice as informed.
Yeah. So let's see. We're gonna do one more Zelda question, and then we're gonna wrap. I think we are gonna wrap the official interview up, because as much as I do enjoy talking to you, little known secret, ladies and gentlemen, I always make it a point to try to talk to her somewhat all the time. I hope I don't drive her crazy when I do this.
No, you don't drive me crazy.
Yeah, but I truly do feel like I don't know if you trust me fully yet, but you do trust me at least a little bit, and I am genuinely flattered at that. So thank you.
Well, thank you. And thank you for trusting me too. Because we have good conversations sometimes. Well, actually all the time. When do we not have a good conversation?
Yes. But so all-time favorite Legend of Zelda character, can't be Link or Zelda.
I have a couple actually.
Mm-hmm.
I always really like Saria. If it's how you say your name. I always say the names wrong. Medley, I've always really liked. And there was another one, and I don't remember. Oh, Rivali. I loved her. I like from Breath of the Wild. That one's a new one. Loved Rivali.
I haven't played Breath of the Wild yet.
Rivali is like this completely narcissistic bird who constantly tries to bring everyone down to bring himself up. And to be honest, that's not why I like him. I think it's, again, more of the backstory to him of why he gets that way. And there's also a theory, if you listen to each of the songs. I'm going to get a little nerdy here.
Get nerdy. Whatever.
There's a theory between each of the songs when you're fighting the Guardians that defeated the champions years ago. Or not the Blights, not the Guardians. When you're defeating the Blights that defeated the Guardians, I'll get this eventually. Defeating the Blights that defeated the champions, however 100 years ago. In each of their songs, there's like hidden Morse code. And in different parts of the song the theory is, there's no proof to this, but the theory is that when that Morse code happened is just before the champion died. And Rivali's held out all the way to the end of the song, but it was the fastest. Right? It was like that completely giving up and giving in and just asking for that help. And if you watch his character, that's totally against it. And it just gave me a whole new respect for, not respect, but a whole new like understanding for him that just made me love that character even more. I love to hate characters. If I hate the character, I probably love them. Like it's
so here a character like that, once upon a time. I have a theory, but I might want to do this one off the air, not on the air.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for being able to navigate through my word jumble there, by the way. That was that was an adventure, but we got there.
I honestly, it's I just enjoy the conversation. I don't always have to understand quite where we're going right away. It's just like, let people be themselves. There's no magic secret to it. I've said this at the end of the day, we don't necessarily want to be loved, although I think everybody does secretly want to be loved. We don't necessarily care about being hated, although I think, again, it comes with both ways. You get love and hate in this life. Lord knows I've pissed off some pretty cool people in my time. No, those are stories for another day. But at the end of it all, it's not about whether you're loved or hated. It's that you are understood and that you feel like what you said mattered. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's the silliest stuff that matters most.
That's true. You have to be able to have silly times with people. Like that's the bonding. It's the deep moments and the funny moments. That's when you bond with people.
It's the little moments.
That too.
No, it's actually, I think if I were to, you know what, I'm not going to give a damn. I realize this when this is all said and done. I'm not going to give a damn with what I leave behind. I'm going to give a damn with what I make people feel. The rest really doesn't matter. Because everything else goes to dust, but the people in your life, the people you touch, that goes forever. It really does. And it encourages me. If I can go in my life and go, I've encouraged you to be better than what you were the day before, I've done something incredibly profound. Because I've given you that permission to go forward in a way maybe you never believed. On the same token, if I made you laugh, I made you smile, I made you think, I made you consider things in ways you've never considered before. That is far more useful in this life than me writing a towering #1 New York Times bestseller. Not that I wouldn't mind the New York Times towering #1 bestseller. But at the end of the day, no one's going to remember that. No one's going to give a shit about that. What people are going to give a shit is how you make them feel.
Yeah, it's connecting to that person or those people individually, right? Or on an individual level, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I'm going to make that number now 4 because I got like half pauses there. It's like, how do I take this in?
Because it's not only how can I take this in, I'm just so word jumbly today that it has to be like, okay, let's pick our sentence. Let's pick our word progression.
Okay.
Now we can say something.
Okay.
Or else you get bites and all of the other things that I said wrong.
No. I just bring this up because it's like, so then the grand tally is I've genuinely floored you 3 times. It was something I've said. And 2 of them are like, I know what you're saying here and I agree with it, but let me think of a comeback. Just to make sure I understand.
Let me formulate words.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
Those words are hard. Words are hard.
Sometimes. Sometimes it's really, really easy. I have a big mouth. It's kind of
I have a big mouth too, but for whatever reason, just sometimes the words do not flow from my mouth good.
maybe it's just, it's also what you do, right? You
Yeah.
project emotions and you sing and you act and you're projecting all this energy, and at the end of the day, you're like, fuck this. All I want is to pet my kitty cat and possibly drink something like a tea, or devour copious amounts of ice cream slash chocolate. Are you a chocolate or a vanilla person?
Probably vanilla.
Okay. Yeah, it's okay. So vanilla, we're just gonna say just for the argument then, vanilla ice cream. Sometimes all you want to do is you're gonna get home, dress kind of like in something that resembles pants. Doesn't have to actually be pants. And I'm gonna eat ice cream. I'm gonna play my Zelda. I'm going to try not to die, and I'm going to not word right now because I gave all my energy out there, and then they gotta go and say,
that's a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
That is a very real thing. How much energy that you put out, and like when I'm not acting or singing, I'm working with like youth and doing all that kind of stuff, and that does take a lot of brain power. So that's the only thing I would swap out of your end of day is vanilla ice cream for peanut butter. Other than that, if I have my jar of peanut butter, I have my kitty cuddles here, I have my Zelda, I have my ability to nap, or I have my guitar sometimes, depending how creative I'm feeling. I'm happy.
Yeah.
My research time.
Well, I know a secret. You've mastered the extrovert introvert part. So what happens with someone like you is, there is a shyness there. It's like, oh no, they're like, I don't know. I like expressing things this way and this way. And if I have to put words to shit, fuck. No, I don't want to do that crap. But you have to. But but you have to sometimes. It's like, so you've done the adaptability thing of, okay, I'm gonna put words out there, which is cool. You can do that, but you give out a certain degree of energy for a certain period of time. It's like, well, fuck. I'm empty. I'm just empty. I'm going home.
Constant, like, what is the MacBook thing where it just loading, buffering? Yeah, that.
No. I think the other way is going into hibernation mode. We'll be back. We'll be back.
I just plug me in. I'll be back.
No, I'll be back eventually. I need time. No, I get that too. I do. I don't get the last 2 years. I haven't had that experience of that overload point. Like when and if I do go out in the open, I'm dealing with all kinds of people again. I'm going to feel. I know the first time it's going to knock me very hard on my ass when it happens. But it's just it. Like if you're someone that's very comfortable in silence, and you have to express yourself for a certain period of time, I'll admit it, I can get overwhelmed. It happens. And when it does happen, I need a minute or some time just not to interact. I need to collect myself. And for you, because you're in the business of putting yourself out there and being vulnerable and expressing those things on the inside that really matter to you, well, you do that again. I don't care who you are, even if you're the most extroverted person in the world. My tank goes empty. You're not the most extroverted person in the world when you're not performing. So there you go. Your tank might be a little less than average, right? I'm not saying that might be wrong on that. You might be a little bit more than average. I mean, you trained yourself. You got yourself a little bit more muscles on your muscles in the years in the past. But even so, I'm never going to be as much as that guy. And I'm never going to try to be as much as that. I'm just going to come in, do my thing. Here's the deal. You can possibly placate me a little bit if you leave me a jar of peanut butter in 15 minutes to myself and the peanut butter, right?
Exactly.
Right. Give me that 15 minutes. I might be able to come back for a little, not for very long. I don't like you that much, but right. That's right. It's like that. That's just it. Like you just need that moment sometimes, and right. That's totally a real. Like again, there's energy. Like this is again. This doesn't feel like work because I like you, but even
it's not work either.
Yeah. Right. It's not work, but again, even if we were even face to face, there'd be a point where we'd be like, okay, I'm gonna have a little space, just a little bit, because I like you and I don't want to. I am actually you're probably more likely to murder me than I murder you. But I mean, that's things like, but there would be those. But again, you just need your space sometimes, and that's
There's
okay.
also a really strong transfer of energy too, especially like in our conversations, because we're both very like what we talk about, we're very passionate about, right? So we're always like, yeah, this, and then yeah, that, and then yeah, this, and then yeah, that, and then we keep building, right? And like that's what makes a good conversation. But when you throw so much passion into something, sometimes that's exactly it. I need my minute. Give me a minute.
Yes, or I'm going to get my minute. Like I said, I'm going to get what I want. I want my minute. So you got to decide how I'm going to get it. I'm going to get one of two ways. You're going to give it to me willingly, or I'm just going to take it. It's like, and if I take it, no one's going to be happy. I'm going to have to work harder when it's over. That's like, right? But I'm going to take it. So, and that sounds really silly, but it's, again, going back to something I said. At the end of the day, everybody does exactly what they want to do.
Exactly.
No one doesn't. It's the only question. The only real question is, what do people want, and why are they doing it this way? And depending upon the answer, and again, if you can figure those two things out, you can understand just about anybody. That doesn't mean you agree with them. Sometimes it is crazy. Sometimes you don't want to know why. Sometimes you ever had one of those moments where it's just like, you almost go, why? And then another thought goes, are you sure you want to know the answer to this question? And sometimes I say yes. And then as I've gotten older, sometimes there's a touch of fear when I hear that voice in my head. Do you really want to know the answer? Sometimes I still do. Sometimes I'm like, maybe I don't.
See, for me, I always want to know. Even when I say I don't want to know, I probably want to know. But I'm getting to that point where I probably shouldn't know everything or shouldn't try to know everything. There's just some things I'm not going to know. And exactly like you said, some things that I shouldn't want to know. But I get that same little voice too. But mine goes, okay, we don't want to know it. But like, do we really not want to know it?
Another life you have been a journalist. Another
life. How many rabbit holes have I gone down, really?
Oh, you never know. I mean, you're still, I mean, at the end of the day, you're still a storyteller, and ultimately storytellers solve problems. Mm-hmm. It depends on where your curiosity chooses to take you, I guess. But I could totally see it. I mean, most of your skills now, they are transferable to that profession if you ever chose to go down it.
I have lots of options. We all have lots of options. That's the wonderful thing about life. It's just all options.
There are no rules. Something like I said, there are no rules at the end of the day. At the end of the day, it's about what you want to do. And if you're adult enough to pay the consequences to whatever it is you choose to do. And the only thing I've ever said to anybody about that is, whatever your decision you make is fine. Don't make it based on fear. It's the only piece of advice, because those are the decisions you will regret.
And the biggest, actually, I got really great advice about that as well. About probably a couple months ago, I was stuck in between a choice, and someone told me, you need to get rid of the idea of right and wrong. There is no right and wrong choice. There's A and B. But if you pick B, you need to be putting everything into B. Mm-hmm. If you pick A, you need to be putting everything into A. If it doesn't work out, it wasn't a wrong choice. But you need to stick with that choice and make it work for you.
I 90% agree with that. I think we all get opportunities in our lives, I think, to change. Like, there are moments where you just get options you never would have considered. Mm-hmm. I'm not always sure if you go down those roads that you stay who you are. But I think we all have this ability to kind of go down whatever our path is, whatever that is supposed to ultimately lead up to. And we get opportunities in our lives to be distracted. We get opportunities in our lives to be misdirected. We get opportunities in our lives. And again, and this took me a long time to figure out, we all do what we want to do. So so our fears are very often our prisons and our salvations. right? The way through fear is the way to deal with fear is to go through them ultimately. But I say all it like that just to say like I think we all have choice. I think if there is such a thing as a wrong choice in this life, it's not choosing to quit isn't always the wrong choice. Sometimes it is like you've done everything you've wanted to do and you're like, you know what, I'm ready to do something else. Time to quit.
Mhm.
There's nothing wrong with that. But if I'm like, I've worked so hard, I've gotten so far, and I don't know if I got any more in me. I'm scared of like right at that precipice you quit. I feel like that's a very different thing, right? So I think 90% of what 90% of the time I do agree with you though. Most of the time there isn't a wrong choice, but I will, but I do think like the going back to that voice in the head. Are you sure? Is sometimes does come up. And whenever I do hear that voice, I take a step back because it's like,
Mhm.
all right, most of the time. Sometimes I don't. And usually that are you sure was actually a good thing.
I get what you're saying. Like there are no right or wrong choices, but there are right or wrong reasons for making them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. We all got to do that. Okay. We got to wrap up because I still want to talk to you about some stuff I don't want to talk about on the air before we
That's
just sit
fair.
here. Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah. But so do you have anything that's coming up or coming out or anything like that right now?
Right now, I know we're still editing the short film that I was in. I think they just finished filming that in the middle of the summer. So I think they're editing now. So it should be coming out soon. I'm very excited. I have been working on some songs and some music. Those are in the early stages though. So next year, I'm just gonna appear out of nowhere and be like, "Here's all of the things." All of the things.
I can't wait. So how can people find you?
You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok under It's Nikki Nash. So ITSNIKKINASH.
And guys, like I said, the burger meme's there. You can definitely check it out there.
That one's on my Instagram.
Yes, that's there for everybody to go watch. Well, folks, I make no secret. I really enjoy talking to Nikki about pretty much anything. I really do. And although like I said, the laugh total was not as high as last time, so next time that'll be the challenge for the next event. Next time I'm assuming you want to come back at some point.
Oh yeah, but before we hop into this more, what was the grand total last time?
For laughs, 52.
Yeah. 52. Was it 52?
Yeah.
Well, what would you guess we're at now? Like,
I'd say 25, 26. I'd say about that. Here's the thing about this conversation. I made you blush at least 10 times.
Oh, no,
A couple times I did see if I could actually just make you do it on cue. You caught on though. Eventually, it's like, okay, no, you're not playing this game with me, boy. But I did get you, especially early on. I got you really good. Silences surprised me, but like in the best way. Because I think maybe you needed to hear at least one of those things. The other two, maybe not right away, but I think one of those things, yeah, you did kind of need to hear it. So I think I know, and the one I'm thinking, it's the want. The idea of the want, I think, is that one took me a long time to learn, but when I learned it, it changed how I looked at everybody and everything, and I'm more forgiving now. I'm far more forgiving of people now as a result of that, including myself, which I think is actually a big thing. But yeah, the grand tally there. So yeah, the 3 major silences, and then 3 silences, 10 blushes. I would guess around 25 to 30 laughs, which is still not bad.
I guess 32. 32 came to my head, so we'll see who wins.
Okay, yeah, so it's fair. Gotta do it better sometime. We'll talk about that after here. But anyways. For everybody watching, listening, this is Nikki Nash. Definitely check her out. Amazing singer. I've seen more of her singing than her acting, in all fairness, but she's good at what she does, and definitely check her out and support her however you choose to do that. For me, so you can do a bunch of different things to support me. Click the like, follow button on my Twitch. I'm almost at 100 followers, which is like very cool considering like this is a video game chat, and I've been kind of just like, taking over my little corner of the world little by little. Thanks everybody watching. Thanks everybody listening. First off. Second off, my book Alice 1 comes out December 1st. Definitely check that out. And third, if you want to see any of our old conversations, including I do have one with a certain Nikki Nash there, my YouTube channel is Joshua Pantelleresco. Hit the like, follow, enable notifications there. All right, guys. Tomorrow's another good one. And I'll need it because it's gonna be my come down after something I can't talk about on the air yet tonight. But until then, guys, take care of yourselves, keep shining in the dark, and I'll see you guys next time.